You need to stop being agnostic and you need to do your research. Here's 3 reasons why. First reason, agnosticism is a cop-out. You often see people not passing judgment on certain situations because they don't want to stir up conflict or they're avoiding researching difficult questions. For example, for something like, do you like Pepsi or Coke better? You can be agnostic about these things because you could say Pepsi and Coke are so similar that you don't really have a preference. But if somebody says, oh, who do you think is right in Roe v. Wade? What do you think about these moral issues? You can't just say, oh, I don't know how I feel about it, because that's not a correct answer. It's a state of being, but it's not an actual secure answer that you can have. So a lot of the times why you hear people say they're agnostic about God is because they just haven't done enough research. They don't have an answer. Now, please note that agnosticism about God is not, I don't know. It's actually the claim that there isn't enough evidence to go around that it's anything. For example, there's not enough evidence for Christianity, there's not enough evidence for Islam, there's not enough evidence for Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, and atheism. Agnosticism claims that you don't know whether or not there is a God or which God that it is, and you don't also know if there's no God. So you cannot claim that agnosticism is true. Rather, agnosticism is the claim that everything else doesn't have enough evidence to support it. The problem is, in order to truly claim that we cannot know about God, you have to do your due diligence to research every other single religion and deem the evidence unworthy of trust. And let's just suppose that you do that and you don't trust any worldview, anything from Christianity to Islam to atheism, right? You don't trust any worldview whatsoever. Agnosticism, the I don't know, still cannot be true. Because if I don't know is true, how on earth are you going to live that out? If you're agnostic about God, you're also agnostic about morality. You're also agnostic about life and death. You're agnostic about meaning. See, these are things that we have to act out a certain way. We always behave as if a certain thing is true. So if you actually believe that we cannot know, you believe that I don't know is the correct answer because God has never revealed himself and we cannot prove that he's not there, then how do you live your life? How do you live out agnosticism? You can't chase after being a good person on the wager that God is real, because you have no evidence. And you also can't be a total jerk and wager that God doesn't exist, because you don't have enough evidence. So you're stuck in the middle. You're going to be halfway on everything. You're not going to know which decision is right morally, which decision is right in regards to your future, which decision is right in regards to how to treat this person. Living out agnosticism makes absolutely no sense. So agnosticism isn't really an answer. You can't be Christian, atheist, Muslim, and an agnostic. The agnostic simply has not done their research. The other 3 have reached a conclusion. So what you have to do as an agnostic to make your worldview make sense is to find which worldview has the most evidence backing it up. And that's the one that is true. And I urge you that it's Christianity. There are a lot of dilemmas for every single faith, but Christianity has the least, if any. If you think Christianity is false, then you logically have to believe that every other religion is false as well, because Christianity has so much more historical, logical, and spiritual evidence for its existence than every other worldview in existence. There is literally more evidence for Christianity than there is for atheism. Atheism makes less sense than believing in God. But that being said, please end your agnosticism. Do your research. Figure it out for yourself and have an answer, because claiming agnosticism is just a cop-out. It's an avoidance of the truth. It's an avoidance of conflict. This life is too short to not figure it out. Thanks for watching. Follow the call to Christ, and God bless you.